So welcome everyone. My name is Rick Miller. I am the fabulous instructor for how to make micro videos for social media. Before I started teaching at USC, I used to work at Adobe. My name is actually on the credit screen for Premiere Pro and Photoshop. And when I was at Adobe, I actually sold you guys the software. So if anything goes wrong with it, they contact me. They're like, hey, you sold us the software. So then I go to the engineering team at Adobe. I'm like, hey, you got to make this right, especially now that I'm teaching at USC. I'm like, I sold it to them. But so how many of you are familiar with what a micro video is? Okay. So what is a micro video? Micro videos are short videos that typically last from a few seconds to a minute or two. Now, on my PowerPoint, I can click on here and it would show that video. So I'm going to actually have to go to the browser, and I'll show you a couple examples of micro videos.
The following ad is being condensed for your viewing convenience.
I just switched to Geico, saved a whole bunch.
Car insurance, huh?
Yeah, saving money, super easy.
Oh man.
Oh shoot! Oh, you can't see that.
I'm not keeping that up.
Oh, that's
The
odd.
following ad is being
That's odd. It was like, so for those of you who are watching at home, you are not seeing everything that we are, or actually no one is seeing it. I am seeing it. Okay, let's try that again. Let's do this one more time and bring the volume down. It's like way too loud. Okay, so this is a micro video. And it's much easier when I just click on the PowerPoint one and it play, but it's not playing on the Mac version of
The
it.
following ad is being condensed for your viewing convenience.
So this is like 30 seconds
Car insurance, huh?
Yeah, saving money.
that they put on the website. This is on the...
Who doesn't like saving money? All right.
I'm not keeping that up.
Another micro video example would be Ben & Jerry's. This is what they put on their... They have this on their Instagram one. So this isn't even saying anything, it's just text. Now we all want ice cream. And bars. So Ben & Jerry's has a whole bunch of micro videos, and as I indicated earlier, micro videos are nothing more than videos that are just a couple of seconds to a minute or two. Let me make sure everyone can see that. And why are they so short? Well, according to Animoto, a cloud-based video creation service that produces video from photos, video clips, and musics into video slideshows, nearly 2/3 of consumers prefer videos under 60 seconds. How many of you use Instagram? Okay, so the expectation now with Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook is that people want to be able to engage with that content quickly and efficiently. They just get to the point. And Wistia, a professional video hosting for businesses that help businesses add their videos to the web, track their performance, and find new ways to build and engage with their audience using online video, discovered through analytics that 2 minutes is the sweet spot. After that, the drop-off in engagement is significant. Well, can I make longer videos for social media? Or am I just restricted to just doing a 1 or that 2-minute sweet spot? Wistia also indicates that 6 to 12 minutes is sweet spot number 2. The engagement, what they call the engagement decay, really starts to level off after 6 minutes. But there's hardly any drop off between 6 minutes and 12 minutes. If your video ends up being like 8 minutes instead of 7 minutes, it shouldn't have a significant impact on engagement. So the takeaway of this is beyond 2 minutes, focus entirely on the content. If the viewer would benefit from brevity, then go short. If they benefit from depth, then you can go ahead and do that. Just don't cut it for the sake of editing. But for the shorter ones, the takeaway from that is that if you're new to video, and most of you are here, then start with short videos under 2 minutes, because that is the sweet spot. And this will help you, get a feel for what, responsiveness your audience has for that. So let me go ahead and advance. So what I'm going to be covering today, I'll talk about a little demo since most of you are new to Premiere Pro. I'll talk about capturing the content, your creative content, importing it to your computer, then to Premiere Pro, editing that content in Premiere Pro, and then exporting it. Once I've done that demo to kind of give you an understanding of how that works, then we're going to edit, a micro video in Premiere Pro, and then we'll learn how to export it to various social media. How many of you shoot video on your smartphone? Okay, so almost all of you. How many of you just load it to one social media place? Just only one. How many of you upload it to multiple social media destinations? Okay, so that's what's great about what we're going to be doing today. You take that content, you edit it in Premiere Pro, and then only have to do it once. Once you have that video, you say, I want to go to Twitter with this, I want to go to YouTube, I want to go to Vimeo, I want to go to Instagram, I want to go to an Android-based device, I want to go to an iOS device or a tablet, whatever. It makes it very, very easy for you. So let's go ahead and look at the capture, import, edit, and export. I'm going to turn the light on. I'm going to just do a very simple one. If you are going to be shooting, video on your cell phone, I would highly recommend coming in a couple of weeks. We're going to do a mobile workflow one where I talk about settings to use on your camera, whether it's an iOS device or an Android device like mine, how to record professional audio, whether you're just doing run-and-gun interviews or if you're doing sit-down interviews, how to light it, how to use different lenses for it. Right now I'm just going to use my digital SLR and shoot some quick video in class and then import it, export it, or import it, edit. So I'll go turn this on. So I'll shoot some video here. And if you don't want to be seen, you can just cover your face. And I'll delete it, don't worry. So let me go ahead and focus it. Okie dokie. Make sure everything's good. Okay, so now I'm recording, and this is where you can be animated. I know it's like, what, 5 o'clock? It's after 5 o'clock, so you're probably tired. You want to just drink, have a beer or whiskey or whatever. I'm Irish, so I'd have whiskey. But whatever. Okay, so say hi, everyone. Wow, you guys are... Okay, I'm going to come over to this side, and hopefully you're better than this side, because they're dead. And for those of you who are viewing this online, what I'm doing is I'm taking my digital SLR camera and I'm capturing video in the classroom. Then we're going to capture it, import it to the computer, import it to Premiere, edit in Premiere, and then export it. And it seemed quiet. That's because they're very quiet. So hopefully the second row will be a lot better. So we're counting on you. So give me 1 second and action. Okay, hopefully you can add some energy to this, but they were terrible with this. Okay, so which side are you going to pick?
Right here.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm recording video. We're trying to get interaction, then we're going to import it into the computer, edit it, and then export it. So I'm going to show them that workflow. Have you ever used Premiere Pro before?
Yes.
Okay, beginner, intermediate, advanced?
I see intermediate.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm capturing that content, so we're going to try to get everyone energetic here. So hopefully you come in here. What's your name?
Chantel.
What?
Chantel.
So Chantel, hopefully she can bring energy to this side. So you all ready? Okay. And action.
Woo!
Oh, much better, much better. Awesome. Okay, so they're doing a good job. So let's see how we do over here. Okay. And action.
Woo!
Oh, they won. You all won. Okay, good.
You told me the energy, but I had no idea what you were meaning, so I didn't know what to say.
You didn't. You can do whatever you want to. So you were good. I mean, before, you'll see. Oh man, I'll play this. It's you'll be like, oh, what happened? Yeah, so thank you for bringing that. Okay, so now I'm going to take my SD card and I'm going to connect it to this laptop. It's not. Let me just end this really quickly. And I'll exit out of PowerPoint. Beep. Don't save. Okay, so here are my files, my Nikon D7000 files, and I'm just going to grab them and drag them to the desktop. Beep. And a lot of what you're going to be doing in Premiere Pro is grabbing and dragging it. So when you capture that content for your video, whether it's off of your smartphone, your tablet, or a digital SLR, typically you will import it to, like most video editors will import it to an external drive, because you don't want to take up a lot of your hard drive space on your main computer. So I use external drives, most people do. But for now, I'm just going to put it on the desktop, make it very, very simple. So gone ahead and done that. And I'm going to call this media, and then USC. I'll just put media USC. Okay, so there's my media right there. And actually, let me create a new folder. I'll call this energetic class. Okay, and then I'll put that media inside that folder. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch Premiere Pro, and then, oops, let me go ahead and launch this really quickly. I don't know if that was mine or someone else, but I'm going to turn mine, mute mine really quickly on my phone. Beep. Okay, cool. So it's launching Premiere Pro out of test file. I'm going to turn the lights off so that you can see a bit better. And if you have any questions, I'm like I said, very casual, so feel free to ask questions. We're waiting for it to open. I'm used to my computer, it goes beep. Holy smokes, this is a lot. So we're waiting, we're watching the beach ball. Okie dokie. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, how you create a new project, you go File, New Project, and we're going to do this when we open the files, but I'm just going to show you this. So I'm going to give this project a name. I'm going to call this energetic class, and I'm going to browse to that folder that I have on my desktop called energetic class. I'm going to save it in the energetic class folder. So I'm good to go. Then I'll go ahead and click OK. So now I have this brand new project in Premiere Pro. First thing that I'm going to do, just to make sure that we're all on the same page when you start working with these hands-on files, that hopefully you'll download it from there. I'll go to the window menu. I'm going to go to the workspaces. And the workspaces are just a bunch of preset workspaces. So if I'm going to work with audio, I might want to choose the audio workspace. Or if I'm going to work with color, might choose the color. But for now, in today's class, we're going to go to Window, Workspace, and I'm just going to use Editing. And to make sure that my panels, like if I move my panels around and I stretch them out and things are in a disarray, I just go to the Window menu, go to Workspaces, make sure that I have the editing one, and then reset to the save layout. And what that does is it resets it to the default configuration for there. And actually, someone actually changed this one, so they overwrote that. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to import that media in. So I captured that content, I imported to my computer. Now I want to import those files into Premiere Pro. Now it's important to know that when you import those files to Premiere Pro, you're not changing or harming the original file. It's just a shortcut or a link to where those original files are. So if you make a change here or you delete something from here, it doesn't affect the original file. So I'm just going to click Import Media to start right here. Oh, this is the project panel, and incidentally, if I click on these different tabs, it gives me different information, different ways of working with this project. So I'm going to go to the project panel, and right here it says Import Media to start. I will double click on that. It'll open up the folder where I saved that project, and there's my media USC files. I will select all of these files. I will then choose to import them. So I import those files. Now, this is not very helpful. I see the names of the file. I'm like, okay. What I like to do, like down here, there's this list view, but if I go down here at the bottom, I can click to icon view. And icon view allows me to see thumbnails of those. And if I don't see thumbnails, anytime you're in a panel, in this case I'm in the project panel, you have this menu. If I click on those 4 little arrows there, it pops open and I have options to select thumbnails. In this case I'm going to choose preview area. So if I click on a video, it tells me what resolution this was. This is 1920 by 1080. It was shot at 24 frames a second. Like, okay, good information. Now, so I imported these in. But if I want to view the individual clips, what's going on, I can double click on one of these videos. I'll click on it, and it opens that file, that clip, in the source monitor. The source monitor allows us to view that particular source, that particular clip. And so I have this playhead. I can drag it to the left, or I can drag it to the right. So let me go ahead and bring the volume on this down a little bit. Oops. Oh, I guess I can't control it on this one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll rewind this. So I'm going to play this. Okay, so now I'm recording, and this is where you can be animated.
So you can see how
unanimated.
It's after 5 o'clock. So you're probably tired. You want to just drink, have a beer or whiskey or whatever. I'm Irish, so I'd have whiskey, but whatever. Okay, so say hi, everyone. Wow, you guys are...
Okay, don't want to use that one.
Okay, so now I'm recording.
So I'll pause this one. And we'll go to the second one, double click on that, and take that play. Oh, we went to the, okay, so this one actually went, let me go ahead. Yeah, here's the second one. So we go ahead here, I take this playhead, drag it to the left, and I'm going to hit the play button.
Give me 1 second, and action!
Okay, so we know that we don't want to use these ones. So this is why it's good to shoot additional video, because especially if you're doing interviews, you want to get extra shots. So I'm like, okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to click on that third video, double click on there. It opens that video here into the source monitor. This is called the playhead. I drag the playhead to the left. And in a second, after I do this, we're going to do hands-on with those files. I just want to kind of give you kind of an overview since most of you are new to this. Now I'll play this.
And action!
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I don't want that first part of the video. I just want after I said action. So I'm going to take this playhead and scrub it to the left. Rewind. So right after I'm done talking, and actually let me reset this. Let me change this really quickly. Okay, so I'm looking at this, and then so right when I got done saying action, I will select that, and then I don't want this first part, these first 2 seconds and 8 frames. And so I'm going to get rid of the first part, and I'm going to tell Premiere Pro, set this as my beginning point. And that's called an in point. You click mark in. So now I set a beginning point, so now it's not going to use any of that other stuff. So now we'll play this.
Oh, much better, much better. Awesome.
So then I can let it go all the way to the end.
Much better. Awesome.
So then maybe I'll set my out point right there. So just like I clicked over here to mark an in point, the shortcut is I can click to the right of that to mark the out point. Click on there. Now I have the out point. What I want to do now is I want to get this onto the timeline. The timeline is where we start assembling all our different video clips, or still photos, and we add titles to that, or transitions. So most of what you're going to be doing in Premiere Pro is grabbing and dragging. So all I need to do once I set the in and the out points in the source monitor is I take that video clip, oops, I press down, I grab it, and I drag it onto the timeline. See right here it says drop media to create sequence. So you just go ahead, grab it, and drag it, and then when I let go, it creates a sequence on the timeline using the exact settings of that video. In this case, it's 1920 by 1080, that's the resolution, and it's 24 frames a second. Instead of having to do this, and this is what you used to have to do a long time ago, you'd create a new sequence, and then you'd have to figure out which camera did I use, what settings, and that scared a lot of people off. So the great thing about Premiere Pro, you just grab it and drag it, and it creates that sequence for you. So now I have that first, edited, video clip on the timeline. But you're like, what is this monitor right here? This is called the program monitor. The difference between the source monitor and the program monitor is that the source monitor, as we learned, plays back that specific clip. The program monitor will play all of the assembled videos and photos and graphics that I have on the timeline, on this sequence. Right now, I only have one. So what I want to do now is get that next video. I'll go here to that next video, and how do I bring this this clip into that source monitor? Exactly, I can grab it and drag it, or I can double click. So you can either double click on it or grab it and drag it here into the source monitor. So now I have this video. So let's play this.
And action.
So as soon as I said action, okay, so, and then I'm going to go ahead and set the endpoint, and then I'll go ahead, and this is why when you're shooting video, what you'll tell, which I didn't do, what you should do is you tell people, okay, as soon as you say action, give about 3 or 4 second, maybe 5 second handle at the beginning and at the end. So this way, instead of like, if I say action and you're thinking, like most people think, oh, action, as soon as you say action, you're doing action, and like I'm trying to cut my voice off, but then there's already action going on. So what I should have done is told you, okay, as soon as I say action, wait about 3 to 5 seconds, or like be specific. So wait 5 seconds, and then you'll usually motion, and then they'll start. It makes it editing a lot easier at the beginning and the end of it. So now I play this.
Woo! Oh, they won. You all won.
So I'm going to not set an out point because I like the ending of this. So how do I get this trimmed clip onto the timeline? Exactly, grab it and drag it. Go, beep. And you don't have to make those sound effects, but I do. Now, so I have these video clips right here. But the problem, like for me, I mean, it might not be a problem for you, is that I can't see those thumbnails, those frames, and I like to see it. So what I'll do is, some people like it just like this, especially if they're working with lots of video, but for class, I like to go ahead and expand these. And so what we see right here, there's V1, V2, and V3. These are video tracks. You could add many, many more tracks. You have lots of tracks. And then you have A1, A2, and A3. These are the audio tracks. So when I captured the video here in class, that clip had a video and it had an audio associated with it. But I want to see the individual components of that clip, so I'll just go here to the video 1 track, and to make it larger, I'll go to the top of V1, press down, grab it, and drag it. Like I said, most things that you're going to do in Premiere Pro is grab and drag it. Grab and drag it. Ah, now I can see thumbnails. This is how I like working. Then there's audio 1. It's hard for me to see the audio going on right now, so what I want to do is I'll do the same thing for audio 1. I'll grab it and I'll drag it down, and so now I can see the audio associated with this clip. Does that make sense? Okay, so I'm like, great, perfect. Now I can choose to change the the volume of this if I want to, but right now I'm going to keep it simple because we're going to change the volume on the project in just a second. So I bring the videos in, I can change the volume if I want to, but you know what? I want to transition between these really quickly. So to add transitions, we go to the effects panel. Click on effects panel, And then when I'm there, I have a whole bunch of different presets. I have Lumetri presets, which I can deal with color effects. I have audio effects, audio transitions, video effects, or video transitions. So if we're going to do I want to do a video transition, or transition from this video to this video, what transition do you think I might choose here? On a transition between videos.
Video transition.
Exactly. Whew. Scared for a second. Okay. So now you get a choice. Do 3D motion, dissolve, immersive video, iris, page peel, slide, wipe, zoom. Wipe. Okay, so we'll go ahead and select wipe. And then if we click on that disclosure triangle, I've got barn doors, gradient wipe, inset, or wipe. Which one do you want? Which one? Barn doors? Okay, so we select barn doors, and as with most things in Premiere Pro, grab it and drag it, and I'm going to drag it right between those clips. I can drag it at the beginning of the clip if I want it to start with barn doors, but I'm just going to put it right between here, and like I said, when we get to ours, we'll go ahead and do that. So I have barn doors, and so now, if I want to play the assembled clips that I have here on the timeline, would I use the source monitor or would I use the program monitor? Exactly, the program monitor. So I'm going to go ahead and click play.
Oh, much better, much better. Awesome. Oh, they won. You all won.
Okay, so now that we have that, I can add titles, I can do other things, but this is just a quick little intro to it. And what I want to do now is I want to export this, and I want to export this to different media. So I'm going to go to the File menu. I'm going to choose Export. Oh, and incidentally, you might have different sequences here, so my recommendation is click on the sequence that you want to use. In this case, we're only working with one. Click on it first to let Premiere Pro know which one we want to export. Then we go to the File menu, choose Export, and I choose Export Media. And so the Export Media dialog box is going to pop open, and there's all these different formats. Now, my recommendation is, unless specifically told to do otherwise, choose the H.264. Now, what the heck is this format? So what happens when you capture your video? What it does is when you're exporting it out, it needs to encode that content, that media, into a format that other devices will understand. So the industry has, for the most part, agreed on H.264. And H.264, these formats are nothing more than wrappers that get placed around your content. So let's say you had a bunch of M&Ms. So if I said, hey, here's some M&Ms, they're all loose and stuff, but if I put a wrapper around it, it's much more convenient, to it. And so if it was just a plain wrapper with no writing on it, I'm like, here you go, and you're like, what is inside there? There's a wrapper around it, but you don't know what's inside it. But that H.264, all of these different ones, when you choose a format, it writes into the metadata, and so when a different device looks at it, it says, this is what's in there and stuff. So this H.264 is like, oh, okay, so this would be, just regular, you would have, so I'll just choose H.264, but watch this if I didn't. There's these presets. I'm like, okay, I have a couple of there. But if I choose H.264, where am I going to go? So the wrapper around is H.264, but what kind of compression do you want to apply to that? Well, this is where we could choose to go to Facebook. We could go to our mobile devices, whether it's an Android-based device or an iOS-based device. We can go to Twitter if we want to. We can go to Vimeo. We can go to YouTube. Now, so pick a source. Where do you want to go?
Facebook.
Okay, so let's go to Facebook. And this is why it's important to know what resolution your file was at, and we'll get into this when we open up the project files. This one was shot at 1920 by 1080, so I'm like, okay, great, so I can work with 1080p. If I select that, and I go to Facebook. Now, if I just choose export, then it's going to export that just to Facebook. However, the reason why I asked you, like, where are you going to? Most people are not just exporting their video for one destination. You're going to go to Facebook, you're going to go to Twitter, you're going to go to Vimeo, you're going to Snapchat, you're going to go all these different places. And so this is why I like going right down here at the very bottom. Do you see where it says Q? If you click on Q, it's going to open up Adobe's Media Encoder. And so the Adobe Media Encoder will launch. And when I choose export, when I just did export, it will go ahead and export that clip out just to Facebook, just that one destination. And while it's exporting it, I can't use Premiere Pro. It will lock it up in order to be able to export that out. The reason why I like choosing Q and having to export it using the Adobe Media Encoder is that, one, I can continue to work in Premiere Pro, and two, I can export to multiple destinations at the same time. So it's opening this up, and then boop. So now it opens it up, and so let me remove someone else was using these. So let me minimize this. Okay, so here I have that file, and it tells me it's H.264 for Facebook. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but you know what? I want to duplicate this, and in addition to Facebook, I want to click here, and where do you want to go now? The YouTube? Okay, so we'll go to YouTube, 1080p, and then I can continue to do this, add many more if I want to. Then I choose, where is this going to get saved, and I could have changed this destination at the very beginning, but I'll just save it to my desktop. Then I go ahead here and I click Start the Queue, and then you'll see at the bottom it's telling me it's exporting both of these videos, one for Facebook and the other for YouTube. It says 2 outputs encoding. So, boop. Now they're done. I can quit the Adobe Media Encoder. Now if I go to my desktop, I can go ahead and, now obviously I recommend not saving them to your desktop like this, but if I go ahead here, there's 2 different ones. If I click on this first one and play this.
Oh, much better, much better. Awesome. Oh, they won. You won.
Okay, and then if I go to the other one, same thing. It's like,
oh, much better.
so you get the point, right? Cool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start, editing our own, editing videos and create this on our own. So I want you all to launch Premiere Pro. So go ahead and launch Premiere Pro. And then, does everyone have Premiere Pro open? Okay, so when you have it open, go to the File menu, choose New, and then choose Project. File, New Project. And what we're going to do is, when you look at the location where it's, the last place you saved a project is where that location is going to be. So I want to browse to a different location, and I'm going to go to my, let me see, do I have it here? Yeah, so I'm going to go to my Create Project. You might have a, what's the folder called that you download? It was like media files or something like that? Yeah, so you'll save it to your, that folder. I'm going to go ahead and click Choose. And then let's give this a name. So what do you want to name this project? What?
Micro videos.
My what?
Micro videos.
Micro videos, exactly. Micro videos. Okay, micro videos. Now we're going to click OK. Let me do this again. Let's do this really quickly. Nope. Okay, I have to close that for a second. Okay, let me go ahead and do that again. New project. Actually, I can just open that project. I have to go back and go new project again really quickly. I'll just call this micro videos. New. And then I'll go ahead and click OK. So now we should all have this same workspace. Is everyone here? Okay. So what we learned at the beginning is that micro videos are all about being, under 2 minutes. Ben and Jerry's was around like 36 seconds or something like that, but because 2 seconds is that sweet spot. Any more than that, then people start falling off. And so I'm going to open something really quickly and have you see this project, and then we're going to create this project. So let me go ahead and open this up, and I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to take this playhead. I need to bring this volume down on here. Actually, I need to do it from okay, let me go turn it down over here on this one. Blast your ears off. Okay, so I'm going to play this, and then this is what we're going to create.
This is my story of returning home to the land of eternal spring and the good and mis raíces. Esta es mi historia. My land, my people, my history.
Okay, so what we can see here is that we have all these different video clips. We have an audio clip here, and then we have a second audio clip here. And so let's go ahead and start working with that. Let me go ahead and go to my project really quickly. Okay, so we should all be here. We should have nothing, imported. And so what we want to do is we want to import that media to start. So right over here where it says project, let's go ahead and right here it says import media to start. How do I import those media? Do you remember how to do that? Exactly. Just I can do that. I can do file. I can do import. That's one way of doing it. Or I can double click right here to click import media to start. I'll go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to look for my media files. And there's all these different media files. Let's go ahead and grab them or just select them. I'm going to press down. I'm going to drag through all of them. And incidentally, it doesn't matter if you're on Windows or Mac. Right now I'm using a Mac on my other computer right here. It's a Windows machine, so it doesn't matter. Select those and then click import. Okay, so does everyone have those imported? Okay, great. So now that we have those, those imported, what we want to do, does it look like this on your computer? Or does it look like this? Okay. If it looks like this, then go down to the very bottom right here where it says icon view, and if we click on icon view, then we can see those thumbnails. If you don't see those thumbnails, if we go here to the top to the project panel, there's that menu, and if we click on it, make sure that thumbnails is selected. Also, make sure that preview area is selected as well. The reason why is that if we start clicking on one of these videos, see how it tells us that the resolution for this is 1280 by 720? This gives us some information, so we're going to export it. I know that I can't go to 1080p, which is 1980 by 1080. I have to instead go to 720p. So I'm like, okay, that's good to know. And what I want to do now is I want to start bringing some video onto this timeline. So let's go ahead and let's select one of the clips right here. And if these thumbnails, they're too small, see right down here at the very bottom where that slider is, you can drag them to the left or you can drag them to the right. A thing that I use all the time when I'm working here in the project panel, see how there's this cyan border around that? Anytime you click on a panel, that's how you know it's the active one. So I got the project panel open. I want to maximize this to see this a bit better. So let's go to the window menu and choose maximize frame. And when we go to maximize frame, then it makes it much easier for me when I take that slider and I can see these videos a lot larger. And so the cool thing about this, I'm not going into the source monitor to view this. I could take my cursor and if I drag it to the left, I rewind. And if I drag it to the right, I forward it. I'm like, okay, actually, I like this one right here, the longer one. It tells me this one is 6 seconds and 21 frames. This other one right here, which is very similar, it's 4 seconds and 8 frames. So you can choose which one you want. And actually, you know what? Let's just go with the shorter one. We'll go with the one that's, because we're all about keeping this under 2 minutes and optimally under a minute. So I'll go with the shorter one. And then what I'm going to do is I can go ahead, see right here, and I can go to the window menu, restore that frame size down. How do I get this video onto the timeline to create a brand new sequence? Grab and drag it. It says drop media here to create a sequence. So instead of me having to know what the settings are of that file, and like I said before, you'd have to create a new sequence, figure out what settings you want to go to. What settings was it? I'm like, I don't know. And then like maybe, oh yeah, it was like 720p. Was it 24 frames? Yeah, 24 frames. And then clicking OK. I'm like, I don't need to worry about anything. Just grab it and drag it. And I drag it on top of there. I'm like, great. So now that we have that, the next one that I want to do is I'm going to click back on here. And instead of having go to the window menu and then go to, maximize frame, on your keyboard, if you hit the tilde key, any active panel that's a shortcut to maximize and minimize it. That makes sense? I use this all the time. It saves me, lots of time. So for this one, this is 13. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this next one. This is 13 seconds. However, I know that I kind of need to trim this down. So I want to put this into the source monitor to create an in and an out point. How do I do that? Exactly. I can double click and it opens the source monitor. Or I can grab it and drag it into there. If I want to see the source monitor larger, what menu would I go to maximize that frame? Window, maximize frame. The window menu shows you all of the different panels. So if I can't find a panel and you're trying to hunt it down, it'll be under the window menu. So I'm going to go to the window and I'm going to choose to maximize that frame. Then we could take that playhead right here, and if I grab it and drag it and go to the left, I can go to the beginning. I'm just kind of looking at that, and then I'm dragging it to the right, kind of just seeing where I want to stop. And so I'm like, okay, I actually like here at the beginning. I like that. But if I drag to the right, I'm going to wait till I don't want to go all the way. I just want to just get a little bit like right. I'll have it pause for a second. So that's a good spot. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of setting an in point, because I don't want to get rid of the first part, but I do want to set an out point. How do I set an out point? I click the out point, that marker there. So now I have this out point. I'm like, great. So what is a shortcut on the keyboard to minimize that window? The tilde key, exactly. can go to the window menu or choose restore frame size. I just prefer doing the shortcut. And then incidentally, if you want to expand just a little bit, you can just grab any one of these panels and you can grab them down if you want to. So how do I get this video clip onto the timeline? Exactly, grab it and drag it. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to put it on top, because if I put it on top onto video 2 track, then what it does is that it covers the video below, which, there might be you're going to be times when we want to cover something or put a title over it, but now we're just going to have it occur right after, and boop, and it snaps, and then I'm going to drag it to the left, and so it's, see how it just snaps when it gets to the edge of that? I'm like, okay, great. So now that I have that one and stuff, what I want to go ahead and I want to do, and I want to add another one. So we're going to go ahead and we'll go into that panel really quickly, and we're going to go into the project panel, and we're going to select a video. So first one was kids with a soccer, and then let's choose another one. And you know what? Here's something cool. So let's say when I'm doing this, I decided that the girl, I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to use that somewhere else. And so what I'll do is, this is kind of cool, is if you want to do a bird's eye view of that timeline, if you drag it to this right here, see this little slider bar right there? If I grab the end handle and I grab it and drag it, now I'm like this bird's eye view. And so what I'm going to do is I want to put another video clip here. So I'm going to select this video clip and drag it all the way to the right. So I'm going to put some other videos here. And then I'm just like, you know what? Let me go ahead. I'll find another video. And I think I'll go with this city one. So I'm going to double click on this city one. And so I'm like, okay, so this is 3 seconds, 4 frames. And I'm like, I'm just looking to see if I need the whole thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use the entire thing. So how can I bring this onto the timeline? Exactly, grab and drag it. But I'm going to snap it right there. So I like that. The next one that I'm going to do after I did that one and stuff, I'll go ahead and I'll use this one. I'll double click on it, or what's another way to bring this into the source monitor? Grab it and drag it. So now this is 8 seconds. So I'm like, you know what? I want to keep this, under a minute. Do I really need all of that? So let's play this. Okay, so maybe I'll just go to right here is good. How do I set an out point for it? Exactly, I'm going to click the mark out point, or I just hit O on my keyboard, so I can hit I for in point, O for out point. That's usually what I just do. I'll hit I or O. And I'll click on that, and then grab it and drag that. And then it snaps to there. I'm like, okay, that's great. So I have that. Now the next thing that I want to do is, let me go ahead here, and I'm looking to see what else did I want to, add to there really quickly. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me see this one. This is, and here's the cool thing. Instead of having to go to the source monitor, if I put my cursor over here, see how I can go to the left to rewind it and drag it to the right to go forward? So I'm like, okay, you know what? Actually, I want all this. So instead of having to go to the source monitor, grabbing it and dragging it, I can grab it and drag it from here and go on to the timeline. Does that make sense? Like I said, so when you're recording for your micro videos, even though you're trying to keep things, very short, I still recommend when you're recording to give yourself some leeway room in the beginning and the end, because you can always add your in and out. especially if you're going to be doing transitions. You need a little bit of wiggle room so you can crop it out later. So it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Okay, so we have that. And then I just take this playhead. I'm just seeing how everything plays out. Like, okay, I like that. And so now the next thing that I want to do is I want to add the one of the girl that we have. So I select that. And I just grab it and drag it, and it's going to snap. So this is a great thing. I can just move things around as I see fit. If I didn't like the order, just drag it out of that order. So I have that, the one of the girl. So the next thing, I want to add another video. And so this one, I'll scroll down, see what I like. I'm like, okay, this is 2 seconds. Let me drag to the left, drag to the right. Okay, actually, I think I'll keep all this. It's short clip. Grab it, and drag it. Beep. Okay, does everyone have that? Okay, great. And so the next one that I want to do is, I want to go ahead and find the city one. We're going through the arches. Just scroll here to the left and then to the right. Okay, and these are already trimmed ahead of time, so I don't have to do much in and out points. So grab it and drag it. And I like it right there. And let me just take this playhead, make sure everything's flowing right. And then I go here into the city. I'm like, okay, I like the city. And then I think I will, I'll have it, find the kids playing. This is 6 seconds. So I might trim this. So how can I trim this? Where would I go to trim this video clip? The source monitor, exactly. Now where would I go to access the source monitor? Or how to get it? Double click or grab it and drag it. And so now I can take this playhead. No, I can either play it and watch for it to all play, or I can just take the playhead itself and scrub it to the right. And I'm like, and so I'm just seeing where it is that I want. So it's like, okay, and it's all about keeping this short. So, and right now this tells me this is 55 seconds in, 20 frames. And so I'm like, okay, no. It's 1 second, 2 seconds. Then I just kind of like, and I'll just end it at there. So so how do I set an out point for this? Click mark that out point. Then how do I get this on the timeline? Exactly, grab it and drag it. Okay, so what we're going to do, there are different, you can decide. Do you have a question? Yes. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's like so that transformed into what? So you can play with it like right there, keep that, and I'll explain, I'll show you how to fix it. So when you grab and drag, and that's why it's important to kind of, when you look at these, you look at the different video clips, like, bless you, what resolution they are. And so these are like, 1280 by 720. And so when I grab and drag these and put it on a sequence, it will make sure that all of these videos fit inside here. If I instead chose a different resolution, so what happened is that timeline, somehow a different resolution got applied to it, and so it's a much smaller resolution, so the video clips don't fit inside there. And I'll show you how to change that in a second. So right now, just edit it, and then when people start working, I'll come over there and help you fix it. Okay, so we have, our video clips right here. We like them the way that we want. Now we decide, do we want to start adding transitions to these, or do we want to start, adding the video? So, I'm going to start with, adding, the audio to it. So I can't see the thumbnails here, and I can't see the audio wave files. How can I view these much larger? How can I see the thumbnails for the video 1 clip? Exactly. Go to video 1 track, V1, grab it and drag it, and I drag that up, and now I can see all of those. Now, if I want to see the audio, how do I do with the audio? Exactly. Grab it and drag it down for A1, and now I can see this. Now this is interesting because if we start to play this, let's take this playhead, drag it all the way to the left, to the beginning, and click play. Now, when I took the video in the class, there was audio associated with this. However, these are like Adobe files off of their website you can pull out. And so these files, they didn't have any audio associated with these clips. And so that makes it, you're like, huh, where are these audio files? So we could do one of two things. So we can either, just ignore these and just continue to work, with other video clips and stuff. Another thing that we could do is let's go ahead and select all these videos. We'll drag a selection around all of the videos. Right click on it, and do you see the right click menu? And then do you see where it says unlink? Does everyone see that? Okay, if we click unlink, then what happens is that the audio files are independent from the video files. And so I can delete these. So let me show you why that's important. Because if I edit undo that, let me do that. Okay, so if I went ahead and I said, oh, let me select this audio, and I hit delete, it deletes the entire clip. That's not what I want. That's why instead what I did is I selected all of them, or just the ones you want to get rid of, and then right click on it and choose unlink, and what that does is it unlinks the audio from the video, because this one didn't have any audio for some reason, and so I'll just hit delete, and so now that audio goes away and I don't need that, right? So the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to add some audio. So right down here, there's this music, Going Home. Do you all see this right here? It says Going Home music.wav. Double click on there. And so now we can go ahead. This is 1 minute and 5 seconds. So we don't want to use that entire, audio. So we just want the best parts of it. So I'm going to play this for a second. Okay, I don't want that. And then let me go to drag it. Let me see what happens here. No, I don't want it there. Let's try over here. Yeah, so see that little spike right there? That's where I liked it. So I'm going to take that playhead and so I'm going to make it right before it comes in there. What did I do for that video clip if I just want it, to start at a certain point? What did I set? Yeah, I marked an endpoint. So I go ahead, we'll do the same exact thing. We mark an endpoint. And then, you know what? This is fine, so I'll just keep it like this. I'm not going to mark an out point for right now because we can change this later. I'll show you how. So now that we have that audio clip, we set an in point to it. You see this little icon right here? It says drag audio only. Do you see that when I put my cursor over there? Grab that and drag that. But where on the timeline am I going to drag this to? Exactly, A1. Perfect. So now when we take this playhead and drag it to the left, let's play this. Okay, so what I didn't like about this is that there are beats on the song that are happening when one of the videos is playing. This would be a great opportunity to transition from one clip to the next on those beats. So let me show you how we'll do this. And so what I want to do is I want to view this panel a bit larger. So how do I do that? Exactly, the tilde key or the window menu, and I choose maximize frame. And so if I want to see this better, here's the slider area right here. I can grab this and drag it to the left, and so I zoom in a bit. So now I can really see this. And I can make these thumbnails a bit larger. So what I like to do is let me take this playhead right here, drag it all the way to the beginning. And you see this thing right here? It says add marker. Watch what happens if I start to play it. And you're like, wait a second, I can't see the play button. How do I do the play button? So you want to write this down because every video nonlinear editing device uses this shortcut, professional one. J, K, and L on your keyboard. If you hit L, that plays it. If you hit K, that's a shortcut to pause it. If you hit J, that rewinds it. So J, K, and L. So I use this all the time when I'm trying to set, markers down. And if you want to go, fast forward, you hit L twice. So rewind, I hit J. If I want to go fast rewind, double, triple. So, okay, so I'm going to go. So let's look for, let's start, what's the shortcut to play it? L. So what I'm going to do is, okay, so here's what I did. This is why it's good to have a little bit of extra of the video, because when I hit M on my keyboard, I'm setting marker points, and it's putting these marker points down. And so let's try this again. I'll hit L. Okay, that last one, I missed that one. So let me do that one really quickly. Okay, so here's where these markers become handy. Well, how do you think I'm going to use these markers? Yeah, I can change it. So if we go right here, this is where I want to maybe transition to. And that's why it's good to always have a little bit of extra space. So this one right here, let me play this L. I'm going to wait till the transition here. Okay, so this right here, I have a marker there. So you see this beginning part of the clip? I want that to transition there. So I go to the beginning of that clip and I grab it and I drag it and I grab it. If I had, so this would be good. If I had an in and an out point on this that didn't have, if I didn't have extra space, or if I had extra space, then I can drag it to the original part of the video. But I started this from the beginning. So all I could do is just grab this and I just kind of overwrite this. See how I drag it to that, boom, and now I just kind of overwrite that. So it went on top of there. So now, watch what happens when we do this. I play this. Changes in there. Oops. A little too fast. So I'll move this to here. And I'll play L. And so then let me move this over here. And I'll just bring this down a little bit. And so I'm just playing with these. And so right now I'm just doing a rough one. I just only did these ones over here and I can fine tune these. But let's see what this looks like now. How can I see the and everything right now? Window, restore frame size. So now if I take this playhead, I drag it all the way to the left. And now we play it. I didn't do the first part, I just did the last one. See, all those are, I didn't, so now, so that one could have, I could move that forward just a little bit and stuff to occur a little more. And we just kind of clean these up. And this is what it's about. It's just like kind of like lining these up. The first ones are, not, I need to fix those. But that's fine. And that's how you sync that up. But what we want to do is we want to add that audio voiceover. You see where it says going home VO, voiceover? Let's double click on that to put that into the source monitor. And you see all these waveforms right there? Now, there's these big, huge gaps. And so how they recorded this, they would record it, then they would stop recording on that one, then they would record it again, so it wasn't straight through. And so we need to create in and out points for those little parts. So no worries. So we'll take our playhead, and then let's just play right here.
This is my story of returning home.
So I'll go ahead and I'll write before it. And if I want to zoom in, how do I maximize this frame? The tilde key, or go to the window menu, maximize frame, and then we get that playhead. And like I said, I like to leave a little handle up front. So how do we set an in point? Exactly I, or we hit the marked in point. Then I take that playhead and I drag it, just give a little space. And then what do I do next? Exactly. And then to minimize this down, restore the frame size, what modifier key do I use? Tilde? Exactly. Now we're not going to be like, perfect with this. I mean, we're just going to, we can experiment with this later, but right now we're just going to take this portion right here. How can I get that audio clip onto the timeline? Exactly, grab it and drag it. But I'm not going to drag it onto audio 1, because what would happen if I do that? Exactly, it would overlap, it would overwrite it. And I'm not going to put it at the end, So I'll drag it down to audio 2, and then you just figure out where you want this, this clip, the audio clip, to go. And like I said, we can keep experimenting, and this is why I like to do bird's eye view and stuff, kind of see what's going on. We can experiment with where we want this to go. Maybe I'll bring this earlier in. Like, let's play.
This is my story of returning home.
I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What problem do we have right here? The music is too loud. So what we're going to do, and this is like a very popular thing, to being able to have music on one channel and a voiceover on another, or ambient noise. Now, how you change the volume of an audio track, I'm going to show you how to do it where it affects the entire track, or the entire clip. But I'm also going to show you, because we want that music loud, but we don't want it loud when it gets right there. So I want you to experiment right now with, you see right here, this is the L, that's the left channel. This is the R, the right channel. You see this band right there in the middle? If you press down and you start dragging it down, see how it tells us it's going negative decibels? -3 decibels, -4. We're bringing the volume, we're decreasing the volume. I can also increase the volume, but it's already loud enough. So if I brought this down and then we start to play it, watch what happens.
This is my story of returning home.
But that's not what we want. We want it loud just until it gets to there, right? So let's bring this back to where it says 0 decibels. And so we zoom in a little bit, take this little handle, and so right here at this point, what we want to do is we want that audio, let's take this playhead, and this is where we want that audio to decrease for that channel. So you see right here, this pin tool right here, get that pin tool and click on that line, because we're going to just affect this one area. So click there, and then right here, I go to the end of our talking right there, and I'm going to, with that pin tool selected, I'm going to click right there. So I just want to affect the volume of just this area. Does that make sense? So now we can go ahead and click our selection tool and go here, and we press down, and oops, I'm doing that, but what I need to do is I need to see how I'm like clicking on one of these areas, and I'm clicking here, but see how it's just affecting like everything after it or before it. So instead what we do, what do you think I need to do? Exactly, where do I add that? Exactly, between those two. So I get exactly, what's your name? Judy? Exactly as Judy said, we click right in the middle, and then we can press down and we drag this down. Beep. So, but here's the thing. See how it all of a sudden it has a steep drop off and then it goes there. So my recommendation is take that and grab it and drag it and start maybe having a less drastic fall off. So start having it, and so what happens here is that when it starts getting close to that track, then the music starts falling off. Instead of like loud, 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 and like, whoa, where'd it go? So it's more gradual. Does that make sense? So now let's try this. And I might have gone too low on that. So let's try it.
This is my story of returning home.
Okay, so that was maybe it was a little bit too loud or too soft, so I can do that. But you know what, we did this. Okay, so now we need to bring the other ones in. So let's go to the next clip and play this.
To the land of the eternal spring.
Okay, so what do you think I'm going to do here? I. Then I take that playhead right when it's done. And what do I do next? Oh, exactly. Then I can, how do I get this audio clip onto the timeline? Grab it and drag it where it says drag audio only. And then this is where I need to determine, like, do I want it to happen right after or do I want it to happen later on? So what would you like to do? You know what? Let's just make it easier and we'll have it right. Everything, all of that audio will happen right after. However, you can be a little more, you can have these spaced out if you want to. But I'm going to, and this is where you can get really creative and have a lot of fun with this. So I'm going to have to change this later. So usually what I like to do is I'll get all the audio laid down, then I'll start changing the effects. So then we'll do a couple more and stuff. So we'll do the same thing. What I'm going to do now, and I hit O. So go ahead and just start doing the in and out points right now. I want you to grab and drag and just put them right after each audio track. Like I said, you might, normally you might want to space these out, but for now. Oh, and here's something really cool. Check this out. So notice how I have an in and out point right there. If I don't have to keep dragging go in and out, this is kind of cool. What I usually do is watch what happens as soon as I put my cursor right over that in and out. Like instead of having to create a new one, I press down and I grab it and I can reposition this. And this is usually what I'll do. I'll reposition it and then I can just make a quick modification. And then I hit tilde. What do I do next? Exactly, I just grab it here and drag. Oops, I gotta go down here to see what's going on. I just grab that and I drag that. And I drag it to the next one. And I'm like, oh, I need to expand that. So I just grab it and drag it at that outer edge. Grab and drag it here onto the timeline. And I'll do these last two ones. I just grab and drag this in and out. And I expand it by grabbing it and dragging it. Drag the audio only. Drag that till it snaps at the end of that one. And I'll move these really quickly. And I'll just do these as one. I'll just keep these as one. And then grab it and drag it. Okay, so now what's going on here? Oops. If I have, oops, let me click off of here. So what's going on here is that if we take this playhead and let's start playing it really quickly. Let me do this.
This is my story of returning home to the land of the eternal spring.
Okay, so what's the problem we have here? Yeah, the volume comes back in. So I can just grab it and drag it, and I can drag it, over to here if I want to. So then it fades in there, and then it fades back in. But if this is too much, if it's getting steeper and steeper, what else do you think I might do here? Exactly, add another one. So we get the pin tool, and I click to add another one, and I can just drag this down. So I said, okay, from here to here, it levels off, but then towards the end, it So now I've created 1, 2, 3, 4. It just depends on how you want this to go. So what it does is it's playing normal speed, then it just normal volume, then it cuts the volume down, goes all the way, and then towards the end it goes back up. And if I get my move tool, I can decide to maybe increase the volume just a little bit. Does that make sense? And then now let's play this.
This is my story of returning home to the land of the eternal spring, a la tierra de mis raíces, to the people of the corn, who built towering cities of limestone and verdant jungles, who still thrive in cities and colonial towns and on the shores of Lake Atitlan. Esta es mi historia. My land, my people, my history.
So we definitely would have to, if we want to adjust this, like, oh, because this audio cut off before our video did, no problem. I can select that all those audio clips on audio 2, and then I can drag this until it gets to the very end. And this is kind of cool. I just figure out, okay, it's right here. And then this is cool. I can go ahead and I can grab and drag one of these. And so what will happen, we now have the music kind of quiet, but then as soon as the video ends and the voiceover ends, we have the music coming back on, and then we can put a title there. Does that make sense? Okay, so if I want to go to the very beginning, let's click Go to In. That'll just put at the very beginning of that. And now let's play this from the beginning, see if we need to make any adjustments.
This is my story of returning home to the land of the eternal spring.
What happened? Yeah, because we moved all of these, so now we gotta like grab it and drag it. And then so it's just about fine-tuning it, Let's play this.
This is my story of returning home to the land of the eternal spring, a la tierra de mis raíces, to the people of the corn, who built towering cities of limestone and verdant jungles, who still thrive in cities and colonial towns and on the shores of Lake Atitlan. Esta es mi historia. My land, my people, my history.
And so what we could do now is we add a title. Does everyone have this so far? Okay, so what we're going to do is...
Oh, sorry.
Wait.
The transitions.
Oh, the transitions? Yeah, absolutely. Good. Thank you for reminding me. So yeah, so let's do the transitions and then we'll add the title. So I'm just going to rewind this. So, do you want to start with it like this, or do you want it to fade into the video? Fade in? Okay. So then what we'll do is we'll go to the effects panel. And so if you don't see the effects panel over here, then you can click right here, see these double arrows? And then it'll show you effects right there. If, that's one way of doing it, or what panel shows us all, or what menu shows us all the panels? Exactly, go to the window menu, and we'll go ahead and we will choose, effects. Or like I said, click here and choose effects. So, we're going to go to video transitions. So click on video transitions, and which one would you like to choose? The what? Did you say cross dissolve?
I said film dissolve.
Okay, film dissolve. So let's do film dissolve, and we grab it and we drag it to the very beginning of that clip, and then we can kind of scrub the playhead. So see how it starts with black and now it like fades into that? Okay, now we'll use a bunch of different, video transitions. However, my recommendation is don't do a bunch of them. You want to, you don't want it to look like a really bad PowerPoint, presentation with all these crazy, wacky transitions. However, I think for now it's fun to kind of, play with the different transitions so you can see what they're about and, start, playing with them. So we'll go to the next one. And typically you'll see that cross dissolve is the default. So I'm just going to do, and you can decide, and this is important. Do you want a hard cut or watch where it just goes from one to the other?
This is my story of return.
It's a hard cut. So some people like hard cuts, or the most popular one is cross dissolve, and that's why it's the default one. So if I want cross dissolve, I grab it and I drag it right between those clips. Oops. And then if I can do cross dissolve again to another one. Oh, these are small clips. That's why it's having a. But if I want to do, let's do a 3D motion. Do you want cube spin or flip over? Flip over. Okay, we'll go ahead and select that. Grab that and go to the end of there. And maybe I will do. Let me choose something else. We're just getting, just playing around with this. Okay, and then I'll go one more. I'm just do a page peel. Okay, so now let's play this. I'm going to rewind it all the way to the beginning. And so it starts with black.
This is my story of returning home, to the land of the eternal spring, a la tierra de mis raíces, to the people of the corn, who built towering cities of limestone and
So just left a hard cut there.
who still thrive in cities and colonial towns and on the shores of Lake Atitlán. Esta es mi historia. My land, my people, my history.
Cool. So now let's add a title to this. We can add a title at the beginning or the end, wherever it is that we want. And so a handful of ways to do this. We're just going to do it very easy. We'll just go with the type tool. I recommend, though, going to where the graphics are. Oops. And if you click on graphics, you can see that you have, you can browse here. So there's lower thirds, there's like basic titles. So if I view right here, I can see there's captions and subheadings. So definitely check, if I click on like basic title, like just watch this. If I grab that and I, I can drag that here if I want to. And it says your title here. So I can, just click in here and I can name that. But then there's also, animation in there. So let me clear that really quickly. So I could, let me show you two ways. Get the type tool and then I click, and then as soon as I start typing here, you see how we have all of these different options. I can center this if I want to. I can choose the typeface that I want to. I can choose the size that I want to, and I can just go in there as I see fit. But what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to select that and I'm just going to clear that. And we go to the Essentials graphics. Let's go to Browse. Let's click on which says Titles. See this folder which says Title? So there's a basic title, but if we go to Titles, we have all these different ones. And if I want to see this a bit larger, I can take this, that thumbnail one, and so I can see angled title, bold presets. So all these different ones, film title, modern presets. So I'll do, let's do this bold title. So if I grab it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it actually on top. So I'm going to drag this up and I'm going to put on video 2 track. So you see where it says bold title? I'm going to grab it and drag it, and then if I drag it on top, since this project uses fonts that are not currently available on this computer, font subject, yeah, I'm like, okay. So see how if you have that on its own layer, you can have it sitting over, the video, or you can move it off. And it really depends. So maybe you want it a little bit like right here, and then it fades to black. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to have it right there. And so see how it has the animation for you? And so you also won't need to see, it's like, is an animated title appropriate for the content that you're working with? Sometimes it is. Maybe in this case it might not be. But we'll use it for right now. And the cool thing is, if we go ahead here, it says your title, just highlight it. And so what title do you want me to give this? What should we call this? What? The what? Yes? What did you say? Oh, yay, okay. And then, oh, you say Y-A-Y. Okay, sorry. Y-A-Y. And then we can have a subtitle if we want to. And then I'll put, I'll put USC Workshop. Then I can click off with that. And I can center this, change this if I want to. So now if we go ahead here, we play this.
Esta es mi historia. My land, my people, my history.
And then we can end it there. And now we want to export it to different, destinations. So how do we make sure that we click onto the sequence in case we had other sequences. Right now we just have one that's going on. So we'll go to the File menu. We'll choose Export. We'll export that media. So what format do I want to select? H.264. And the presets, we can choose, which one do we want to choose? The what? Yeah, we have to choose 720. Whatever we do, we have to choose 720 because the resolution was, 720. It was lower resolution. So I'll choose Facebook 720 HD. But you know what? I also wanted to go to Twitter. So how would I do that? Because if I click export, it's just going to export that one clip. It's going to lock up Premiere Pro, and I can't do any more editing on it. So what would I choose down here to be able to export in one shot to multiple destinations? Exactly. We click on Q. Oh, and right here it says output name. I might want to change this first. I click here. Where am I going to save this to? I'll call this, yay, and I'll click. I'm just going to save it to my desktop right now. Then I click Q, and then the Adobe Media Encoder pops up. And then it's going to go ahead and open up. As soon as it opens up, then, interesting, it's giving us a warning. Oh, there's a missing font. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, so what do I want to do if I want to go to Twitter with this? Exactly, select it, click duplicate, and then for Facebook, change it to Twitter 720 HD. Oh, and if you wanted to, save it to a square format, you could do that as well here. Oops, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually go 720. And then that green button right here, I click Start that. Now it's going to export that out. So it's exporting both of those. Okay, and then it says done. And I'll just go ahead and quit this really quickly. And I can minimize this and go to my desktop. And here is yay. There's 2 different yays. And I'll click on this one.
This is my story of returning home to the land of the eternal spring, a la tierra de mis raíces, to the people of the corn, who built towering cities of limestone and verdant jungles, who still thrive in cities and colonial towns and on the shores of Lake Atitlán. Esta es mi historia, my land, my people, my history.
Let me check the other one out. Same thing. And if you wanted to go to that square format that you could have exported it out, and if you wanted to go to Twitter on like 640 by 640, so it's a 1-to-1. So any questions about this? Yeah, absolutely. So let me go back to Premiere. And so how we did the pin tool is, let me actually, I'm going to delete these points. To delete these points, I just select them and I right-click on it and choose Delete. Select those and hit Delete. And then let me see if I have any there. Okay, so yeah, so what I'm doing here on that, this is that on that soundtrack. Let me go down here. Yeah, so this is the audio one. If I play this, it's very loud.
This is my story.
If I select that band with my move tool, my selection tool, and I press down, I can drag that volume down, but it affects the entire, audio. So instead, what I want to actually do is, let me make this a bit larger so you can see everything that's going on. Okay. So what I would like to do is out here. Here's my voiceover and here's the music. But when it starts coming in here, I want this to, I want to go ahead and I want this to start decreasing in volume. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I'll get my pin tool. So right now I don't see my pin tool. So the shortcut is just P on the keyboard. I like working this way. I get P and then I click a point right there. And then usually what I like to do is I like to click a point after there, because this is the one I'm going to be dragging down. And then I go towards the end and I'm like, okay, maybe this is the end of that. So I click there and then I click right between there. So the reason why I did that is if I go ahead and I get my my selection tool, shortcut is V. If I click here, if I pull that, now I'm pulling it down just over the voice over. But see how that's very, very, very steep? That might be too steep or too close. Let's see what I mean by that. So what is the shortcut to play it? L.
This is my story of returning home to the land of the eternal spring, a la tierra de mis raíces, to the people of the corn.
And this is cool, so I can actually increase the volume here and I can just kind of figure it out live.
Who still thrive in cities and colonial towns and on the shores of Lake Atitlán. Esta es mi historia. My land, my people, my history.
Okay, so here, I thought that was maybe a little too steep, so I can just drag it and I can move that over there, so it's a more gradual fall off. Does that make sense? Cool. Cool. So yeah, this is like, I use this all the time. Like, it's really cool for, mixing different audios. Or if you have audio where you're doing like an interview and the audios, you don't have the voiceover, but you already have audio associated with the original video, or you want some ambient noise going on in there, but you also want some music, this is how you would do it. You just blend the two together. One of the things I like to do is like when I'm doing like underwater videos, like I like that ambient noise, like the bubbles and the swimming and the other stuff, but I don't want them that loud. So what I'll do is I'll go to the clip itself and I'll just set these points right here, these little anchor points on the ambient noise, and bring it down, but you can still hear it, but then I'll have music a bit louder. Does that make sense? Okay, so what we learned about creating like micro videos is that 2 minutes and under is the sweet spots. Most of it's around like a minute, but after 2 minutes, then your audience starts getting disengaged. So Instagram is like the perfect one. It's like it's under a minute, and so you want to have as much. Like for this one, this was like 30. It's like 34 seconds, 35 seconds. So it's very it's simple. The Ben and Jerry's one was around 30 seconds. So you don't have to have words. You can have text on there. You can use text by either going up to the essential graphics, clicking browse and choosing one of those, or let me go back to the editing one really quickly. Or you can just get your type tool right here, and then if I get my playhead, and let's say I went on to, I can only click on here, I start typing, and I can get that, and I can position this, wherever I want to as the, as that video is going along. If I wanted to control that a bit more, then I just go to my graphics, and then with that one, select it, and click on there, and then let me go to edit. I click on edit, then I can really dial, all of these in, and I might want to drag this down so I can see it a bit larger, so I can scale this down or scale that up. Does that make sense? Or in this case, this was the opacity. But yeah, I just want to keep it as short as possible. Put as much information on there. This is just like a easy like kind of introduction to making short videos and editing those. But go on, check out do a thing for micro videos and see how people are doing it. And there's a lot of different ways to do it that people are doing it that gets you engaged. And if you're interested in working with video for your mobile device, in a couple weeks we're going to be doing one where I'm going to talk about lighting, editing that, doing the audio for it, doing the different things the beginning to end. It's very, because that's what a lot of people are doing. They're doing interviews. And how, if you're going to do an interview, how do you interview with someone and not have this lousy audio on here? How do you make the lights look good? So I'll do all that, and it's very inexpensive options for it. So was this helpful? Awesome. So I hope you all enjoyed it. There is the workshop survey. Feel free to do that at your convenience. Yeah, and then we have lots of other ones. So check the Annenberg Facebook site, and they're always doing new stuff. Cool. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Thank you.